Oh, my stars and garters. It's that time again. It is Monday night. It's 9 p.m. My shit is blowing up, bro. And it's time to start the show. What's up to all our sidekicks and henchfolk out there in the Geek Nation? You're currently tuning into the CultPop podcast live stream, a.k.a. Spoiler Alert, episode 774, wherein we will review a smattering of this past week's comic books. I'm your host, Johnny Destructo of Johnny Destructo's Hero Complex, located at 4327 Main Street, Philadelphia, PA, a super rad shop for super rad folks. This episode is brought to you by the letter Bad Things Happen in Philadelphia. So I make, during the presidential debate, do these count as air quotes? Yeah. They're
the only thing that counts as air quotes.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think this counts as air quotes. Or this counts as air quotes.
No.
This counts as air quotes.
Yeah. And so, during the presidential debate, when old Diddle Dix was saying dumb shit about Philadelphia, he said bad things happen in Philadelphia. So I immediately made a T-shirt, sticker, and now an enamel pin that says bad things happen in Philadelphia with a little illustration of Gritty that I've done. And so these are new. And I also did Plant Parenthood for people who love their plants. I did another enamel pin for Plant Parenthood.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm excited about these. So I thought I would show them off.
What is the retail value of these pins, and where can somebody find them?
They're $10 plus shipping. You can find them on my Etsy at JohnnyDestructo.com. That's it. Did it. Nailed it.
What's the emotional value?
The emotional is impossible to gauge.
Cool. I was hoping.
But fulfilling in all the ways that matter.
Yeah, definitely in the positive side.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Guaranteed to bring you at least one orgasm.
And honestly, if you let's say like some pain with your pleasure, they are enamel pins, so it could be multiple points of
like shoving things up your pee hole. That's gross.
And then Dan is in the comments. Really? I got my sticker in the mail today. I'm glad you got it, Dan.
Yeah,
I sent out stickers
nice.
to all my Patreons. I sent out.
What was the sticker this time?
Oh, was this the one? It was the one that I mentioned before that I just now got around to sending out. It was the Laszlo from What We Do in the Shadows.
Yes.
It says, "Fuck forever, suck blood and fuck forever."
Nice. So, I'm really looking forward to that new show, Our Flag Means Death, with Rhys Darby as the gentleman pirate, who people may remember from the What We Do in the Shadows movie and Flight of the Conchords. And Taika Waititi shows up as Blackbeard on occasion.
Nice.
Yeah.
Joining me this week, Noel and Brian. Noel Bartocci and Brian Lieb. Say hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi, guys.
The discussion topic that is in the notes says, how many Aquamen are there, and should they all be called Aquaman? So, there's a thing going on right now in comic books and in media in general. Film and what have you, right? So there was a new Halloween 2018. It's just called Halloween. And the way we differentiate it from the original Halloween from 1978 is to call it Halloween 2018. Texas Chainsaw Massacre just came out last week or 2 weeks ago, called Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There's Miles Morales Spider-Man. There's Peter Parker Spider-Man. They're both called Spider-Man in universe. Now, this week, we're going to be reading the Aquamen because there are two Aquamen. There's Arthur and Jackson Hyde, and they're both called Aquaman. And so I am not a big fan of that. I think if you've got new characters like Miles, like Jackson Hyde, who are newish, right? I mean, they're not new. Jackson Hyde was previously Aqualad, and then he became Aquaman. So it frustrates.
Aquaman for a while, and then Arthur Curry was off doing something else, and then he came back. Was that Jackson Hyde's deal? Yeah.
That sounds like it could have been a thing.
Right on.
And then
I don't read Aquaman.
Superman, son of Kal-El, So John Kent is called Superman, but when Superman returns, is he going to be Superman and they're going to be two Supermen?
Two Supermen.
Right?
Who needs two Supermen?
Am I the only one who gets a little
Captain
frustrated by
Americas
this?
Or at least with Captain America, you can say Captain's America, and that's fun. That's a little bit of fun.
Supersman.
Yeah, the
You just call them Supersman. Aqua's man.
I only care in regards to logistics. So, like in this week's Aquaman, which we'll review really quickly and talk about it later on, is there's literally a conversation in the book about like who do we call who what? The Aquaman, like, so in regards to like story logistics, I do care because I think it's clunky. Even when you joke about it, it's like, all right, so what do you refer to that one versus what do you refer to that one, and why? Like, anybody can have the same code name. That's great. It's just work a way around it. A lot of times, especially in Marvel comics, like there's two Hawkeyes when they're conversing with each other and or just out and about because they don't actually have secret identities. It's just Kate, Clint, or one will call one the other or the other. Like, so it doesn't bother me and I don't care. But when they like make note of it, or if there's no like story reason for you to not have to say two different names that are, or two people the same name, it's like annoying. Same with like Halloween 2018. Just call it Halloween 2018, as in not brackets or an asterisk. Halloween 2018. Yeah. Who cares? Because I'm vernacularly calling it Halloween 2018. So just make it Halloween 2018. Yeah.
Although that's not true. Not everyone. Some people call it Halloween because David Gordon Green directed this Halloween. So they've given it the cute moniker Halloween.
I assume for things like Halloween or Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it is a purely marketing decision. And they're like, well, we don't want to call it Halloween 27 because we won't get as many viewers, right?
Yeah.
Whereas...
It'll only be 13, 12.
Oh.
Yeah, well, even just now. Okay, so Halloween 2018 happened.
Yeah.
It was called Halloween. And now the next one was called Halloween Kills. And the one that's coming up is called Halloween Ends. Just throw another word on Halloween 2018. Halloween again.
Begins.
Halloween Returns.
Begins, sure. Halloween Returns.
Another year.
It would have been great. Yeah. Yeah. Halloween this year.
It does make me laugh because it makes it sound like Michael Myers' name is Halloween.
Well, they did it with the second and the third one. They did it with the second and the third one. So they might as well have like retroactively done it with the first one. Like Halloween Kills, it like Halloween is
sounds like his name is Halloween's coming to get us.
Is a perpetrator of kill.
Yeah.
He's wearing a Halloween mask, just like he always does.
Like every
classic Halloween.
It validates every loud audience member who is like, is Halloween around the corner? Is that Halloween that's coming to get you? Yeah, like Jason.
Like Friday the 13th's coming to get us.
Yeah,
he's got a machete.
It's the same thing as when they like the Nightmare on Elm Street films. People just started calling him Freddy. Freddy 1, 2, 3, 5, like just all the Freddy movies. It's like the other way around. Be like, is that Nightmare on Elm Street over there? Nightmare on Elm Street's coming to get us. Or they changed the titling to just it's Freddy 8 now, which they did with Freddy's Dead.
They could do like Nightmare on Elm Street moves, and then he's Nightmare on some other like Park Boulevard or something.
Well, gentrification probably got rid of the whole block, and now he had to
Even Nightmares can't afford.
Nightmare on Sunshine Circle.
You know what? I want to see that movie where they take the old Kruger house and they turn it into a coffee shop in like a new bustling kind of neighborhood, and it's haunted.
Now, as far as the comic character, character stuff goes, that would be cool. Let me know when that happens. The comic character stuff goes, the first I remember is Green Arrow, right? When Connor Hawke had been Green Arrow for a while. And this was a while ago, but it didn't happen again for some time where there were more than one at a time. And I think it often happens in those circumstances where somebody has had that name for a while and then the original one comes back and they don't want to downgrade the other guy and nothing else sounds as cool, right? Like Miles Morales, I think they may have even tried out a couple of other possible names, or on like one of the animated shows, they gave him another name and it's like, well, it's all right, but it's not Spider-Man, And so I was of two minds. At first, I'm like, well, there's multiple people named Rupert in the world, right? Why can't you have multiple people named Aquaman? And they're like, well, the Ruperts of the world all have last names. But there's got to be, there's like John Smith conventions out there, you know? So you could say on that. But then again, in SAG, you have to have, if somebody already has your name, Vanessa L. Williams, right? She doesn't go by Vanessa L. Williams. It's just Vanessa Williams, I assume, in casual conversation. But she changes it a little bit. So Aqua L. Man, I think, would work. But,
or like Aquaman spelled like Aquafina, like AKWA or something.
Like, which one are you talking
Just
about?
A phonetic spelling. Yeah, the K one. The Aqua one.
The Aqua one. And everything would be great. But they didn't go that route. I think it's all right. It certainly works okay for us in our omniscient view, because we can be like, I mean Barry, not Wally, you know, or whatever it is. It would probably logistically be a little difficult in that world. But are the heroes even super concerned? Do they like, no, these people need to know how to refer to me as opposed to that guy. Although you would think in the heat of battle, it might be, you know, Batman's like, Aquaman, go over there. Aquaman, do this other thing. It's like, what do you mean? I hope it all works out for them, I guess is what
okay, cool. Anyway, that was just, it's been bothering me for a while. And I know it's all marketing, and that's what bothers me about it.
Well, see, I think
the
it's
only
more
reason
marketing
is,
with,
of course, outside of story reasons.
Right. I think it's more marketing with the movie titles and stuff. I think there is some marketing involved in, you know, not calling Connor Hawke something other than Green Arrow. But I think it's also a bit more narrative driven, where you're like, but he's Green Arrow, and if we come up with another name, it'll be some crappy, you know, it'll be like Bow Fellow or something, you know, like something that doesn't.
The problem is, I really like legacy characters. I'm super about legacy characters and passing on the mantle. The problem comes when it's comic books, which are always in the second act, right? Everything recycles, and whoever picks up the mantle, the original is going to come back because that's just the way they've deemed it. It's just how it has to go down. So
then sometimes,
so like all new Wolverine went back to being X-23, and that felt like a demotion.
Right. It is.
She kept Wolverine.
Her book was called X-23.
Was it? Oh.
Yeah.
Which is also about marketing.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was just canceled.
However, sometimes it works out. Like Photon is a very cool name that fits her powers very well, and she was Captain Marvel for a while, but Photon really works. And there is the case of the Green Lanterns, you know? The ton of Green Lanterns.
Green Lanterns, yeah.
Yeah. And they seem okay with it. And most of them don't have secret identities in that world anyway, but
I think you'd order this, but it's also, I guess it's just like the curtain between audience and like in real world actuality, because like Spider-Gwen had a title, but she's not called Spider-Gwen. But we outside context like refer to
and then
her
nothing seemed as right. You know, they're like, call her Ghost Spider, and you're like, that's not as cool.
It's we're at the end of the day, we're just old men shaking our fists at clouds.
It's true.
They're just gonna do what they want.
Stupid clouds, a bunch of jerks. Mars Comics says, "Hello, I made it." We've got some people in the chat. Christopher Goodnight says something about Scream, blah blah. Yeah, they did it with Scream 2022. Dan H says, I have more of a problem with calling females girl and males man, like Hawk Girl and Hawk Man. But they are a couple.
Now, I'll tell you, I've always thought, or at some point I started thinking, it's about the amount of syllables. You know, it's like I went on. It's the amount of syllables. You know, one syllable there sounds good.
Yeah.
There are some, like Wonder Woman obviously works, and I think to a degree it's again what you're used to. It's like the difference between Noel's processing. It's the difference between
buffering.
what you it's like Mortimer Mouse to Mickey Mouse, right? Mortimer was the original, and it sounds super weird, but I mean, it was never actually made that way. But that was one of the original ideas, and somebody was like, "Well, no, that's not good. Change it," and they changed it to Mickey. But I wonder, Mickey would sound weird if we'd always heard Mortimer, right?
Mortimer Mouse,
right.
Sounds fine,
And so Wonder Woman sounds normal; it flows off the tongue. Hawk Girl sounds.
Well,
like
wait,
it makes
I don't
sense,
think
but there's also been a Hawk Woman, and that sounds fine too.
I don't think that's what they were saying. He was talking, wasn't he? Didn't he mention it in regards to like he says it, and they have similar names just with a different gender, but they're not a couple, or if they are, like it's connecting to characters that maybe aren't. No,
I thought it was the girl,
Hawk Girl and man, but they are a couple.
Oh, but they
females,
are
girl. Man
and males. Man.
Oh well, yeah. I guess I guess your point also.
Do you think
girl instead of woman? Hawk woman.
Are you saying that calling a female a girl as opposed to a woman is diminutive?
Yeah. That's
well, I think it's maybe not even diminutive so much as just not level. So like if man is man and woman is girl,
then
why
is
is it man
Spider Boy?
Yeah, why should it be Hawk Boy and Hawk Girl?
Boy.
Hawk Woman.
That's
and
true.
Hawk
That's
man.
true. Yeah. It's a good point.
But to your point, maybe it is syllable. But I mean,
I don't think that's
it
only
used to be Invisible Girl. Yeah.
Yeah.
He says it's sexist. You see, that's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
It's a good point. Yeah. All right. Hey, Supermassive is a book that we're going to talk about now. It's from Image Comics. And let's see. Kyle Higgins, Ryan Parrott, and Matt Broom are the writers. And the art is Simone Ragazzoni and Melania Palladino. The superhero crossover event of 2022. Spinning out of 2021's hottest new superhero debut, Radiant Black launches into his first crossover event ever with the Image Comics debut of Inferno Girl Red and the first appearance of Rogue Sun. The future of Image's superhero universe is here. What's up with the names, guys? What's up with fucking Inferno Girl Red?
I mean,
maybe there's other Inferno girls on her planet.
They're pastiches of like Japanese or translations of these types of stories. The Super Team 5, Thunderbird 8. Like it's intentionally.
What are those things?
I made them up. It's
right. Okay. I thought those were real teams.
No. Like when you had the Super Sentai kind of shows or the kaiju shows, and then they would be translated. Like the actual translation would be like a noun and two modifiers that don't necessarily work, but that is the name. Right. Yeah.
Right on.
So
this was fun.
Yeah.
I'm really because of Noel. Noel, he forced it down my throat, and I was like, I want some more of that down my throat.
Sure. There's the comic.
That sounded strangely sensual.
I didn't think it was strange.
I fed it to you slowly.
Yeah, Radiant Black, really great series, and this is Supermassive, a one-shot that is going to be introducing us to the previously discussed character names, and we're going to have new series spawning out of this. So they're creating a superhero universe. Now, I feel like this might be a bit premature, but I'm okay with it. It's fine. I just feel like we're sort of getting a little too big, a little too quickly, the same way I felt about Valiant Comics back when they did their reboot about 10 years ago. Started off great, and then it just sort of like got bigger and bigger and bigger, and then unwieldy. So, but other than that minor quibble, I think this is a fun issue. We're introduced to some new characters. Rogue Sun, who's kind of a piece of shit, but he's been doing it for a while. So, he's been around the block. And, already I forgot her name. What's her name?
Inferno Girl Red.
Inferno Girl Red. I hate that name.
She's great.
Is she Asian? Is she Asian? No. What is she?
I don't know.
From another universe.
She has like a vitiligo on her eye, though.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I like that. I think she's black, but she's got an Asian themed outfit with like the dragon and the Inferno Girl Red sort of name. So it's a little strange to me that way. But otherwise, I think this was really fun, and I like these new characters being introduced. His outfit is so dumb. It's so there's so many
furnace,
things
baby.
happening. Yeah. And it's very Arthurian with the helmet and everything. But I think this was fun, and I like their interactions. Are really, really cool. That's part of the fun of in Radiant Black is Radiant Red and his interactions and stuff. So yeah, this was fun. I liked it. What did you think, Brian?
I also enjoyed it. So I haven't read any since the second issue that we read for the show. And so in the beginning I was like, what is happening? What is going on here?
Understandable.
Which, so they didn't tailor their special set in this ongoing universe to me personally. That's fine. It's, they don't have to catch everybody up for their crossover of an ongoing thing, I think. And once it got moving, I was into it. I'm assuming now he's Radiant Black. There's a Radiant Red. Inferno Girl Red is from a different universe. That is probably some kind of parallel to, the Radiants. So, yeah, I thought they were cool. The characters were pretty nuanced. Like, that guy who at first seems to be a jerk is like, he's got a little bit of a heart of gold, maybe. He's not as much of a jerk as he...
brought him a blanket.
Was that?
He brought him a blanket.
He brought him a blanket, right? People without hearts of gold don't bring other people blankets.
Very rarely.
Very rarely. Excellent point, JD. But... their interactions were a lot of fun, especially the road trip part. It was a very cool character kind of thing. So yeah, I enjoyed it. It made me curious to see what is going to happen and what's been happening with Radiant Black. There was a bit of 90s flair to it. His costume, they all seem kind of like that. Radiant Black is probably the most advanced design, I would say. Yeah.
I like his outfit a lot. It's
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got some minimalist elements, but it's still pretty badass.
Yeah. And it's got kind of like that sci-fi feel that seems to be a strong part of the character. And the most 90s-ish is this Inferno guy. Or Rogue Sun, sorry. But yeah, interesting book.
Oh,
I liked it a lot. I have been reading Radiant Black, obviously. I was first of all, I was shocked. Even though having read Radiant Black, I didn't find this inaccessible in case I didn't know anything, because like the scene that you had mentioned, Brian, the car, like all you had to do is get up to the point where they're on a road trip, and all the characterization for 12 issues is there. So like it still did a really good job as an entry point. In so much as all comic books should be entry points. Like if this was good enough, even if you didn't know everything, you're intrigued enough to go backwards and forwards.
True.
Right. So I didn't need it to give me all the answers. It just kind of had to hook me. I thought this was rad. This was very reminiscent of a couple of different things. So JD, you mentioned like, oh, it's too soon to maybe go big. To me, it feels like a Saturday morning cartoon backdoor pilot where they introduce 3 or 4 extra characters, and some of them will go on and get things, or they just will only show up as guests in another book. So like it didn't feel like it had that weight or gravitas, like, oh, I got to read 5 more books now. It's just more like, oh, that's kind of cool. Nifty. But then also it felt like, what was it, issue, I want to say like 75 of Invincible, where they attempted to do an entire crossover in just one issue. Do you remember that?
Awesome. That was awesome.
That's what this felt positively like that, where it absolutely felt like too much story. It absolutely felt like there was too much going on, but it still was really charming, and I really liked the art, and it was colorful and fun. So I was down. Like, this was great. The only knock I would give this is the after credits scene. I don't know what the fuck is going on. So I read that after credit scene like 3 times, and I wasn't sure, are these new characters that are attracted to whatever the hell just happened? But then I went back to, there's a scene in this where the 3 of them, their power kind of merges with each other, and they have visions of the future, I went back to everyone's vision to see if these people were there, because there was no clear connection visually. Like, should I be afraid of these people that showed up? Are they the same people that showed up earlier? What?
Were they?
And it was muddled. Yeah, I think Radiant Black had the vision where there was a bunch of like big mechs and scary people hanging outside of Earth's orbit. And I was like, are these the same people as those? The art isn't very clear. So I still am not sure if the story is telling me that this Dead Lucky, are they the ones in the vision, or is this just something new?
I was thinking
to me this is something new. It's just they showed up afterwards, and he says, "Ghost, let's keep an eye out for world-ending threats moving forward. We don't want to keep missing the party." So it's just these guys showed up to be a part of whatever was happening, and they just missed whatever had happened.
Yeah.
Cool.
I kind of thought also that this creature might have been what Inferno Girl Red was there to find, which he kind of left without finding. But
no, I think the creature was the thing she fought. No, it's what she fought in the first couple of pages.
Yeah, what she fought in the first couple of pages merged. So the radiant of it all, the radiant of it all was one of Radiant's bad guys. It has this tech that sucks his power and uses it as a weapon. So that person got attacked by the creature that Inferno Girl Red was tracking, and it turned into this big power-sucking monster. Yeah. It's a shit ton of convolution, but it's, it's fun.
Oh, you know what else I thought was interesting? Not about the story, but they advertise ongoing. There's a Radiant Red miniseries, a Rogue Sun ongoing series, and an Inferno Girl Red graphic novel. I think it's interesting that they are doing 3 different publishing strategies.
That is cool.
Inferno Girl Red was kickstarted. I kickstarted it a little under a year ago. It's due out this when they got to a certain point. Like they advertised it as in the same universe as Radiant Black. It's just being a OGN kickstarted, and if they got to a certain point, Image would eventually print it, and they did.
Which is funny because it's not the same universe as Radiant Black.
It's a different universe.
Well, the shared story continuity, but a different universe. Yeah,
it is funny.
But I think the Kickstarter edition is like something like a supersized big one, and this will just be an OGN. And the artist is here, and the Matt Broom, I think, is the writer. Yeah, they are building a little universe. Rogue Sun, I think, comes out this week.
I'm gonna read all of them.
Yeah, it's a great foundation. Yeah.
I'm like 2 issues behind on Radiant Black, but I'm excited for all these books. Radiant Red, I really like Radiant Red, especially with that art by David LaFuente. Ooh, doggy, I'm excited. All right, let's move on to the next book. I'll tell you what it is. It's Step by Bloody Step #1 from Image Comics, written by Simon Spurrier, who had just recently done one of my favorite runs on Hellblazer, but it was prematurely canceled. And this has art by Mateus Bergara, an armored giant and a helpless child. Together, they cross an astonishing world brimming with beasts, bandits, and, deadliest by far, civilizations. If they stop walking, the earth itself forces them onwards. Why?
What?
The child can't ask. She and her guardian have no language, no memory, nothing except each other. This sounds cool as hell, and it's the only book. Apparently, I'm told by my compatriots here that there's no words in the book. It's all just artwork, and it's the only book I didn't get a chance to read. So why don't you tell us about it, Noel?
It's good. Nah, it's a very opulent book. It is dialogueless. It is text boxless, and it's just pure comic book storytelling through panel. I loved it. I thought the art was fantastic. I've never heard of Bergara, but I'm a fan of Cy Spurrier, and every year or so, or I mean, conservatively, every couple of years, there's a silent issue of something that kind of comes up. The ones that come to mind, obviously, is the classic Larry Hama Snake Eyes G.I. Joe comic. But then also, I think it was Ultimate Spider-Man: The Ultimatum tie-in. That's just completely dialogueless. And I'm missing like 5 or 6 other notable examples, but sometimes it is a breeze and you just flip and it's like, yeah, great. I get it. And sometimes it's not easy to get through because you're doing a little extra work or the art is just 10% not there to show you like true kinetic motion. But every once in a while, it's just perfect and it flows really well. And fortunately, this is more the latter. Like this book flowed really, really well. And I was just riveted by it. It actually took me longer to, air quotes, read this than some of the other books that I read this week because it was just so, for lack of a better word, immersive. Like I would pore over panels and pages more than once. And not because I was having trouble, but because I wanted to be really clear what was happening, which is, I mean, an example of a good book. I like this a lot.
Ryan.
I thought the art was really good. I don't agree that it flowed that well. I thought each piece of art was. I mean, what I mean is, Nola's entirely wrong in at
about
least
everything.
This. Yeah.
You're a garbage person.
I found that I did have just a little bit of like, what's going on? How are these things connected? Like what moves this from here to the next thing kind of thing. The girl ages in, pretty significantly during this issue. So you get that passage of time. There were definitely reveals that I was like, so what's going on there? Now, I might have still thought what's going on there if there were text, in it.
Yeah.
But the art itself is great. It's a cool fantasy world. There's one particular panel or page that is a full panel that is shortly after this one, I think, JD. No, it's longly after that, but it's like 2 of these mushroom kind of those things that you see in the background of that page, but there's just 2 of them against a night sky, and it's very cool. And yeah, I found myself while I was reading it, like thinking of it more as a collection of very cool images than this narrative. There's something going on with that robot. I would probably read or go through the rest of them based on the strength of the art. There's a little Mobius in the artwork here. Yeah. And he is one of my favorites of that genre. So yeah, I think all in all, still a cool and well done book.
Yeah, it looks really nice. This artwork is spectacular. Oof. And it's got to be, right? You got in order to have a book like this succeed, it relies so heavily on the visuals.
Yeah.
This I think he pulled it through. This looks great. I'm really excited to actually read this.
There are some things you go through and you almost forget that there aren't words. Like we were talking before the show about that Hydra that we read and reviewed for the show a while ago. And that was one that I almost forgot that it didn't have words. That never happened with this one. And I think that is really one of the best things that you can be as a silent anything, be it comic or film or whatever, is that people don't remember that it's that partway through. It's not necessarily a knock against something that isn't that, but yeah.
JD, Mars Comics definitely wants that copy. Can you tell him a good way to get a hold of you or the shop?
Her, yes.
Her. Sorry, I apologize.
Yeah. Mars, you can email me at jdsherocomplex@gmail.com.
I'll put it on the screen.
Thank you. And then we could do PayPal, Venmo, whatever, and I'll mail it right to you. If there's anything else you need, let me know. I'll pop that in there as well.
Nice.
If you have the first trade of Radiant Black, I would like to purchase that as well as possible. Look at this.
2 things.
Nailed it. Nice. Building communities. I love it.
There's a thing on the back here that says, a girl wakes. She has no memories, no name, no language, nothing except a giant. I would have really liked that in the front.
Right.
That would have been a cool first page pre-story kind of page, you know.
There was something that happened last week too, where we read a book,
Iron
and then
Fist.
at the end was a description of the book.
Yeah.
And we went, oh, would have liked that in the beginning a little bit.
Yeah. Well, for the Iron Fist,
but then that would have ruined the reveal.
Yeah. For Iron Fist,
It
but her having no memories
for people who know who the character was before picking up Iron Fist.
Right.
The 3 people who knew the character.
I don't know if I completely agree with that though, because like I went through it and I really enjoyed it, and then I read the blurb, and some of it I was right, some of it I was like, oh, okay. I don't know. It was for this. This was like a cherry for that description of the back. But whatever.
Right on.
He's going to look if he's got Radiant Black.
Sweet.
Radiant Black. God damn it.
No Radiant Black right now, but probably still
order
orderable
it for you and then send it. Yeah, it's definitely still
Yeah.
available. All right, let's move on to the next book. That's called Ghost Rider #1 from Marvel Comics, written by Benjamin Percy with art by Corey Smith. Johnny Blaze has the perfect life. A wife and 2 kids, a job at an auto repair shop, and a small town community that supports him. But Johnny isn't doing well. He has nightmares of monsters when he sleeps, and he sees bloody visions when he's awake. This life is beginning to feel like a prison. And there's a spirit in him that's just begging to break out. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. So this was fine, Ghost Rider. It was okay. I like the body horror. I like the elements of body horror. I feel like the writing itself is a little too... Oh, I don't even know. Like, so dramatic. It's it feels like high school emo kid. Or emo metal kid. My favorite run on Ghost Rider thus far has been the Jason Aaron one that I borrowed from Noel. I borrowed the Omnibus. What? Go ahead.
I'm waiting for the rest of your thought because I'm going to push back at you.
Oh, you're probably going to say that Jason Aaron did something similar.
Yeah, I mean, you read it, so it was incredibly similar in how overly dramatic and body horror and emo it was, because it literally was like Johnny Blaze just being like, "Oh, fuck the world."
Yeah, and then it was balanced with fun.
I mean, this is
all of the first part, fun.
True.
Like, this isn't fun. There's some cool gore. I do find some gore to be kind of fun to look at. But other than that, it's really morose and just
I loved this.
Great, tell us about it.
Fucking gross.
Express your love.
I was not looking for tongue-in-cheek fun, but I was excited. So like, you not finding that as a important component for you enjoying this book, totally fair. I'm not going to push at that, but I didn't need it in this moment. Like, if this was issue 6 of just morose shit, then yeah, come on, little levity. But I was just so excited about the grotesque visuals. Like from jump, I knew exactly what was going on, that he was trapped in something. But even though me knowing that, him slowly discovering it in very gross ass ways was just, I don't know. It felt dirty. It felt like it shouldn't be in a Marvel comic. It was just, and I really liked the art. I liked it. So you said there's no levity. You don't like the art?
I'm not a big fan of the art now, but go on. Sorry.
Oh, there's no levity, but I thought the whole police scene was fucking hilarious. With the super X-Files emo goth detective who was like shunted from S.H.I.E.L.D. because no one wanted her. And now she just walks in and is like, I need $80,000.
I believe it was $800,000.
Oh, and also the there's some disturbing things in this book, like genuinely disturbing things. Like, a lot of the wide shots have really awful townspeople doing awful things to each other, like a horror movie that sticks with you. I wasn't expecting it, and I just really liked it. I really liked it a lot.
Cool. Brian, what did you? I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
It was fun. It was, it was Ghost Rider. The art was pretty good. I thought the story was a little cookie cutter, right? Intro to a new Ghost Rider #1. It's not unavoidable, but not unexpected either. I thought the reveal happened either probably too slowly, but maybe too quickly for, like, it was like they just kind of went in the middle of like, he's convinced about this for a while, or he finds out right away and knows what's what. And he's just kind of right in the middle of that. And
yeah, it's slow going, but then all at once too fast.
Yeah. And it's like, all right, cool. I guess that's that. And it's a #1, so Ghost Rider is going to be in more of it coming up, but I'm probably not going to read any more of that. So we didn't see a lot of Ghost Rider in this,
I want to know who imprisoned him. I want to know what this big thing is. I want to know some of the weird shit in his vision when he got everything back. A fucking brass knuckles made of human teeth. Some crazy shit in there. Like,
I'm sorry,
I think this is
brass knuckles made of human teeth.
Yeah,
Teeth
guys.
Where's that? Where's that?
Slim through this when he gets it back. Go back. That. Oh no! Come on, you passed it. His vision when he gets all the power back and it's a split screen. It's like 80 panels. Back. Boom.
Boom. Boom. He says, boom.
Oh, there they are.
No.
Tooth
No.
knuckles. I see them.
Oh, there they are.
Yeah.
There they are. Woo! All right.
This is one of those fucking pages where they like tease a bunch of story arcs or like, it's gross. It's terrible. I love it. I love this. Also, can you go back a couple of pages? There's a wide shot from above, like maybe 500 feet of the town, of a main street on the town, and a bunch of terrible things are happening. Have you guys looked at that and how awful this is? Yeah, this is it on the second page. Like a mother looking down a manhole.
Oh no!
With there's so much awful. I mean, there's an empty baby stroller next to her. There's so much. Like, I think if it was 2% more, it would be 2 edgelord. But because it's like back of the panel business type stuff, it's disturbing.
Yeah.
Where
I guess
if it was
all those
like
people are demons, right? Like, those people are
well,
all right.
But at this point in the story, you're just kind of learning that. Like, I feel like if this exact story was in the hands of like Todd McFarlane, this would be absolute garbage.
Right.
Like if this was an issue of Spawn, this would be absolute garbage. But it's like right in the gray area sweet spot for me with this kind of story, and I just enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think I just wanted a little bit more charm to the gore and stuff. Like, this is just all sad gore mad times.
I mean, he is a Ghost Rider, right? Like, he's not always a funny character.
Yeah, it's true. Well, no, that's true. That's why I rarely read him.
Oh, right.
I read the Jason Aaron run, and I found that to be like over the top and ridiculous. Just stupid. Which I think Ghost Rider can be. At times.
It was all the supporting character stuff too that made it fucking ridiculous. Like he didn't change Ghost Rider and make him like jokey, but he did put him in some silly ass situations, and it's like, this is kind of fun. Which I really like Ben Percy as a writer. He understands this genre, so I don't think that's out of the. I will keep reading this, and I will let you know. I will let Brian. I'll let you know to stay away. And JD,
well, I mean, I do like.
I
always thought Ghost Rider was cool. Even though he's like a motorcycle guy wearing chains and leather, and he's got that whole aesthetic. Like, he's also got chains. Yeah, some of them do. But he's also got the whole like spirit of vengeance, magic aspect of things, or not magic, but kind of like religious fiction kind of thing. So I always thought Ghost Rider was cool. And I'm certainly not opposed to a Ghost Rider comic or a Ghost Rider appearance, but no, I probably won't. Let me know if it's awesome, let me know that too.
Well, I don't want to call it early, but I think we're in a Ghost Rider renaissance between this and the cool Ghost Rider-essence. between this and the coolness in Avengers Forever with Robbie Reyes.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Mm.
You know, maybe it was just the way I was looking at it. If I had come at it like it was going to be a horror comic book that happened to have Ghost Rider in it, maybe I would have been all right, you know?
Yeah, I think it'd be more up your alley.
Yeah, you would think that.
I do think that.
You did.
I still think it.
Yeah, currently thinking it. Aquaman #1. DC Comics, Brandon Thomas, and art by Chuck Brown. When a suicide bomber in Middle America is revealed as an Atlantean sleeper agent seemingly gone rogue, the Aquaman, Arthur Curry and Jackson Hyde, are on the case. But it soon becomes clear that the tragedy was not just a single bad actor, but the beginnings of a much larger and more dangerous chain reaction, and the heart of an explosive Atlantean conspiracy. If Arthur's not careful, the secrets he's keeping from Mira, Tula, Tempest, Atlantis, the Surface, and even Jackson, the waitress that he met at Denny's, could cause a rift from which the Aquaman might never recover. I think he's even keeping a secret from me.
Yeah, I happen to know that's the fact.
Ah, damn it!
Yeah.
Do you know the secret, or just that he's keeping one?
No, I just know that he's keeping it from you.
I see.
I tell you.
Oh, thank you, Louie.
Yeah, you got it.
Blue for this.
Oh.
It's Aquaman. I'd go blue for that. It was red for
Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider. Yeah.
Nice.
So I was reading this, and I was like, oh, this is pretty good. It's off to a good start. But there was a couple of instances that pulled me right out of the story. One of them is Aquaman is having a conversation with Aquaman after an Aquaman.
See, now you definitely meant Arthur Curry was having a conversation with Jackson Hyde, didn't you?
How'd you know?
I knew.
After the United Nations gets besieged upon by a giant Atlantean fucking snake, dragon, fish, and afterwards, Aquaman's talking to Aquaman, and apparently Aquaman's mother's in a coma from something that happened in Aquaman: The Becoming.
Yeah.
And Aquaman tells Aquaman, "You just need some time." And Aquaman tells Aquaman in response, where I wrote it down. Hold on. Wait, is it right here?
It's this page, yeah.
Time is not going to wake my mother back up from her coma, Arthur. To which I thought, that's the only thing that will wake your mother up from a coma is time.
It might do it.
Yeah. God damn. And also the fact that they're both caught Aquaman at the same time is just, come on, guys. So Aquaman has never been my favorite character, or even my 43rd favorite character. I rarely am able to stick with his book for more than an issue or two. Even back when Peter David was writing it, I just didn't care. Although it's not true. I did really like the Jeff Johns run on Aquaman, where he made fun of Aquaman as well. That was good shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Jackson Hyde's cool. I like his character. I like that he's Black Manta's son and the difficulties that come with that. I like his look. I don't understand why he's different. How he's different than Calderon from Young Justice, the cartoon.
I think he just is Calderon, but for whatever reason they didn't want, because he's also Black Manta's son, which is the case in Young Justice.
Yeah.
And I for whatever reason, and he came out at almost the exact same time. There must be some reason that they chose.
Didn't we have this? Didn't we had this same conversation when we reviewed Becoming #1, and we came to the conclusion that
some legal thing or something like that. Yeah,
the exact same conversation, because it was during the New 52, but then also the rebirth after New 52, and then how many Earths are there, and which one does Young Justice exist on, and it was a whole thing, and it was when did they merge them? It's unclear. Yeah.
So I like him as a character, not enough to keep reading his book. And this was just fine. This was more Aquamaning alongside Aquaman. I'm not going to bother with #2. But I like that they're together. I think making it a team book is kind of cool, or a duo book. What do you think, Brian?
I mean, it's a team book.
Yeah, they teamed up. They team up every issue, probably.
Also with Manta at the end. It's a team book.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. That's an interesting twist, too.
Hold on.
Yeah.
No, that was the other thing. That was the other thing. So, all right, the scene here is Aquaman and they're hanging out together. And then for some reason they have to go see Black Manta. And there is a period of time that we skip over wherein Aquaman are going to see Black Manta. Aquaman gets there, Calderon gets there, and he sees that Black Manta has a guy on the table, on the slab, and he's all been dissected because he's trying to help. And Jackson fights him. And then other Aquaman comes in and says, "You don't understand. He's working with us now." My dude, you had that entire trip in between the last time we saw you and you coming here to be like, "Hey, Black Manta."
I'm going to stop you because that's not what happened, unfortunately. Calderon, Jackson, on the side is looking for Black Manta, and Raven finds him for him, and he absconds without Arthur. And Arthur follows him. So this is not a well-told story. And I don't know what's happening with the Black Manta. I guess there's a Black Manta miniseries where he's now aquatic James Bond. I don't fucking care. I enjoyed you reading the solicitation more than I enjoyed reading this. Because that literally was the entire book. Like, the solicitation is beat for beat the entire issue. The sleeper agent, the attack on blah, it was like an outline. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for pointing that out, because that is not told well, because the last time we see Jackson, he's sitting right next to Aquaman.
Yeah.
He's on the phone next to Aquaman, and then he shows up at where Black Manta is, and I just assumed like other Aquaman stopped for a burger on the way or something. And I mean, like, he just arrived a couple seconds after that than other Aquaman did.
No, it was just a real truncated ending.
Yeah, he says we need to be in Paris now, but maybe Arthur didn't know why they were going there or something.
Right. Yeah, because Raven has been on the slide.
There's that entire time where Jackson could have been like, "Hey, I got a lead on Black Manta." At which time other Aquaman could have been like, "Oh, by the way."
Or Arthur just being like, "Hey, where the fuck are we going?"
Yeah, what's in Paris? Yeah. Did anybody else when the way that they chose to say they were speaking in French is it would be in the font would be in blue, and then at the end it would say Francais, and I'm like, it's like kind of seems like they're saying Francais after every sentence. Here's your food, Francais.
I literally thought that after the first one or two, and then I went, oh.
Like, oh, they're speaking, because it doesn't immediately register that is French or French.
I don't.
You know what I mean?
I don't think that this is an inherently bad book.
No,
you know what it reads like? It reads like it was released in like 2 pages at a time over each day,
like a web original kind of thing.
Yeah, it's just it's oddly disjointed, and like they skip weird steps, and it feels really small, janky.
I think it's also
not very tight.
It's very cookie cutter as well. Like it's a very standard #1 issue from specifically DC, but either of the major two, Marvel or DC, could put out something like this, and I would just be like, oh, it's a #1 issue of a very well established character. Now I like Aquaman. Usually when he's not with other people, right? He's always like, he seems like a pretty powerful, cool guy if he's not on the Justice League with all of the Superman and Martian Manhunter and Flash and whatever. But he has some cool like undersea adventures. I really liked Kurt Busiek's 1 Year Later run. If any of you guys remember that, that was cool. Really good. Yeah, and it really played up the like kind of Arthurian like sword and sorcery under the sea kind of thing, which Atlantis always has a little bit of. But this may lean into that thing. I don't know. So the scene where he and Jackson are talking, and he's got his trident, and Jackson has his water trident, and I'm like, oh, everyone can control the water but you. That's so sad. Your name is Aquaman, and all of your friends and coworkers can control the water, and you just swim
literally
in it.
the only one who can't control Aqua is you.
Right. Talks to fish, he breathes water, but no, he cannot control it. Right? He should control the water.
Hey, riddle me this, or it's not a riddle, that's the terrible turn of phrase. Does Aquaman eat fish for sustenance?
He does.
I mean, we eat cows, right? So
yeah,
he must eat fish.
Look, I just didn't know if it was canon or established.
Yeah.
Like,
I believe
you mentioned
that
he
happened
stopped
in
for a
the
burger.
Jeff Johns run.
I read that too, but I just don't remember. You mentioned he stopped for a burger, but then I'm thinking like, or a fillet of fish.
Right.
But I don't know. Yeah.
I could see it going either way. Like, he'd be like, no, I can communicate with them. But he just kind of like, depending on the era, he just kind of impulses his.
Yeah, it's just sonar.
Them, you know?
It's like, it's the same thing as like a sheepdog. I can get the sheep to go this way or that way.
He's not like Animal Man, who Animal Man has like a deep connection to all animals. So he
is Animal Man a vegetarian?
Yeah.
Yes.
I have all those runs. I've not read them. They're just right there.
Oh, the New 52 one is phenomenal.
I read most of the New 52 one, but I've got like it and the New 52 Swamp Thing that I will eventually read concurrently with each other.
Oh man, Travel Foreman's like negative space and panel usage in that is just second to none.
Aquaman does eat fish, but only the ones he's really mad at.
He's like, 2 weeks ago, I told you to attack Orm, and you went the other way. Get over here.
I think
get in my mouth.
He just calls them.
That's right.
Perfect.
That's right. He wom, and they just swim into his mouth and he eats them.
I'm the king of the seas.
Meanwhile, like the poor fish is screaming because it doesn't want to go in his mouth, but it can't stop. Oh, fudge. No, but Nola's right. Patreon.com.
Wait, no, let's stay on this. He's a normal sized dude though, so like that kind of like all of them at once, it would just be like Krill, or he would choke.
Yeah.
You can't
Aquaman
take like
doesn't always think it through.
Yeah. Sometimes the whale just has to sit there and wait for his
wait patiently.
Finish chewing him.
I hate this conversation.
Yeah.
But I also love it.
If you hate this conversation, you want to subject your friends to these conversations so that they can also hate it, and then you can get together on Monday mornings around the water cooler to say how much you hate our conversations. Share the show. Give us a nice review on iTunes. Tell everyone about it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that other hoopla and happy horse shit. If you want to give us your hard-earned money, you can go to patreon.com/JohnnyDestructo. You can help us out there. I just drew a sticker and I sold it I sent it to all my patrons. And that's it. Let's do another comic book.
Cool.
We got a couple left. What's Bolero #2 from Image Comics, written by Wyatt Kennedy with art by Luana Vecchio. With her dimensional door opening key, Devon escapes through the multiverse to mend her broken heart. She visits her life as a Victorian aristocrat in the age of dinosaurs, an astronaut watching planets die, a ritual sacrifice, and, worst of all, a pop idol with an intensely overbearing stage mom. Let's hope she survives. So, Bolero #1 was a delightful surprise when I read it to talk about it on the show about a month ago. I thought it was really, really well done. I was immediately engaged with the characters and with their relationship and their breakup. And then at the end, there was a goddamn multiverse, and she starts going fucking Sliders style, just going through different versions of her own timeline. And I'm a sucker. I know they're everywhere right now, but I'm still in the awe of multiverses being a thing in the zeitgeist. The fact that multiverses are everywhere right now is kind of insane to like 12-year-old me. the fact that everyone is like telling multiversal stories. So I'm super into them. I'm excited about it. And I was really excited about this series. This second issue, I think, had a couple of hiccups in terms of storytelling. But by the end of it, I was back on board and enjoying where we were and where we were headed. I think that the first half of the book is a little disjointed, purposefully disjointed, but I was expecting something a little bit more like Sliders, like, boop, here's this timeline, boop, here's this, dimension. We didn't get that. We kind of got like a flipping channels kind of experience. But like I said, by the end, I was roped back in. I'm really enjoying this series. What did you think? No.
Oh, I really thought this was going to go to Brian first.
Yeah, I thought so too.
I know.
So curveball, bitches.
I am going to start my sentiment with Brian. What did you think? No,
I'll tell you.
I agree with everything you said, but for me, it was and anybody playing the drinking game, get your drinks ready, was a feature, not a bug.
Not a bug.
Because
it was either going to feature not a bug or hat on hat. I wasn't sure.
Hat on a hat, feature on a bug, or classic 6th, 7th issue scenario.
Yeah.
By your friendly neighborhood, James Taney in the 4th. So
household name.
Household name. Yeah, I would have been upset. I honestly would have been. The way that the first issue was constructed, it was such a wonderful twist, and they set up the rules really fast, and it was refreshing. I almost would have been, I think, disappointed if it was just per issue a universe more linear than that. The fact that they continued that breakneck pace and just threw you into the scenario and almost montage style knocked through 20 jumps, I thought was bold, and I really dug it. It was jarring at first, but I think that was by design, and I really dug it. It all came to kind of it was jarring because I did find myself being like, oh wait, is she a man in this version? Is she female? Is she pining for? I forget her girlfriend's name. But is she with her? Is she pining for her? Is she fighting for her? Is she like, all of that was incredibly unclear as you were going back and forth. And at first I was like, God damn it, just where are we? But then when she finally gets back to Grappa, I think it is the cat thing.
Capcraw.
Yeah.
Capcraw. And he essentially tells her, like, stop trying to do the same thing over and over again. You got extra lives, live a little. That is what this issue was. That whole first third is just, hey, I don't want to waste time on this. I'm going to get it over with. And the whole second half of her exploring a different relationship, to me, that was the strength of this issue, and it was awesome. And I would have been annoyed if it took 3 issues to get to that.
I also really liked the intro to this issue, where she's in, what was it, probably the 1800s?
Yeah.
And look here, you wagtail. I will not let some Vassie... Wait, dude. Wait. I'm out. I can't do this. Bro, look at this shit. This is dumb. All of it. It's fucking stupid. Aesthetically pleasing, but stupid. So she's like not playing along anymore. I really like that breakdown. That was great. Brian, what do you think?
I enjoyed it. I thought the end was more captivating than the beginning. Part of it was because it left on such a cliffhanger and then doesn't pick up with that at all. I expected to see that universe that you remember at the last page of the last one, she wakes up in what seems to be a man's body.
Yes.
And then here in the beginning of this one, it's something completely different. And I also say what seems to me, because even those things are different in different universes. There's this universe here where her lover has for this universe, traditionally female body with a penis. So like anything's up in the multiverse here, which I think is pretty cool. The one
thing true. I just assumed she was trans reality.
Oh,
but
right.
It's true. It could just be a reality where everyone's got boobs and penises.
Right. Or just like the men have boobs and penises and the women have no, or whatever. It could be anything.
Yeah. Just they were just like every. Yeah, that's
like
kind
that
of neat.
Sliders episode where the women had facial hair.
In that universe, I guess it could. It's just I think more issues. I hopefully will reveal if there's any kind of rules or the fact that there are no rules. But the fluidity of sexuality and gender in this is actually really cool. But
yeah,
the main character even plays with it where she is very clearly a man in one of these worlds here on this page, and she's like, I lived a little and decided to live as a gay man and had a relationship with a man. Whereas in the others, she's a man with a woman or with a trans woman or a woman with a like it all doesn't matter. And she's going through it because she's got the lives to spare, right?
Yeah. Which I thought was a little like she flits from life to life and we see these so quickly. And I'm remembering issue 1 where Capcraw is like, you only have 53 of these. And you can never go back once you leave one. So, a little bit I was like, oh, that seemed pretty cool. And now maybe they'll flash back to it or whatever. But, we didn't see a lot of the beginning or end of any of these realities, which also made me think, and I think they'll probably get to it, why did these other versions of her leave these realities, right? These are all realities where the version of her has left, I think, presumably because things were not to their liking in some way.
That first issue
did
a lot of work establishing that she is indulgent, impulsive, toxic, self-destructive. So I don't know if I would be incredibly interested to find out why she leaves so many, because just like we saw in the first one, it could be as simple as I'm tired of fucking talking like this. Whereas everything else was perfect.
Yeah.
She just impulsively was like, fuck this, I'm out.
That's true.
So showing, and what's cool about like this whole super cut of like all the different lives she's been living it could have been the last 200 years. Or it could have been 15 minutes in each one. Because there's no standard or rules for it, and she could essentially do this for like she could live 50 years in one pop, and then she's back into whatever body that is for.
Oh, you think
wherever.
So? She could then go back into like a younger version of herself.
If that is what it is when she goes through that door, and the other way around too, she could be, because they show her as like a 12-year-old or a very young girl in one of these.
Oh, I thought she was the mom in that one.
No,
I thought she was like,
I'm out.
I'm out of here.
Oh, she's my bad. You're right.
She wakes up, she opens the door, she goes, new house. And then she sees a little girl go, morning, mommy. And she goes, bad house. And then closes the door.
Yeah.
Because she does not want a kid.
There's the, like, Miyazaki-esque one where it's just a big spirit animal creature that she's in love with. This is just cool.
Yeah,
this is super cool.
I'm very curious about what happens at the end here on this panel, where something comes out of her, but also I think seems to be her, if I'm remembering that correctly.
Well, my interpretation, I was also confused. My interpretation was that is the her that is jumping around.
Oh,
so the body she was in gets killed, but she is able to come out of that body now and then crawl back through the door back, and now you see her crawling back to
intriguing
Capcraw.
And with a cat from another reality, so I guess she can bring something through.
I completely missed it. That does tell us that in these, like, the rules of this, she technically can't die when she's in one of these borrowed bodies, because it is not her true self,
which does make sense.
It does make sense because they sacrifice her and then she makes it to the door.
Yeah. But so I'm wondering also, speaking of Capcraw, he does say, I think in the first one, like, you'll wake up and anything could be different. So that's why I took it as that world that she was in with the traditionally feminine body with the penis, that's just how things are there, because she can be in a man's body and like anything could be up, which I think is very cool. But I'm also very intrigued, which I said earlier, but I think we went a different direction. What's the reason that these other people left? You know, like what
Right.
when she goes into, or not that we need to know what those reasons are, but the fact of the matter is that, well, my understanding is she left her world and another version of her will come in to live that world.
Did
We
they
may meet
establish
one of
that?
them later. Yeah. They said in the first issue that that's what will happen when she leaves her world. That
Oh, I
doesn't
forgot
mean
about
that
that.
every world she goes to that's been happening, but I just think it's very interesting because all of them then are a version of her who have been pushed so far that they leave everything behind, and she's going in trying to find happiness in that world, you know,
Yeah.
that someone
Well,
else has just vacated.
I mean, that could be the greater story. The greater message of this entire story is that this person is never truly satisfied until they just come to some sort of fruition themselves. Whereas
Yeah.
not everyone in the world is getting this option. It's just
Oh, yeah.
those that are stuck and or can never find happiness. And
Yeah, yeah.
maybe it's always the same constant or the same person that happens to, right? This is cool.
I think they're all versions of her. Like, I think she jumps
Yeah,
into a
and
version of her everywhere.
And I'm saying across the multiverse, it's
Yeah.
only a certain type of person, no matter what the scenario,
Hmm.
body, whatever, wants to do this.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. So yes, very interesting. I'm curious to see. This is a limited series, right?
It's 5
Yeah,
issues,
it's gotta
yeah.
be.
5 issues? Yeah. Well, let's see
Yeah,
what
So far,
happens.
I'm into it. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
curious to see where it goes.
Agree.
All right. Last book. No,
Two
second
books.
to last book. Human Target number 5 by DC Comics by Tom King and Greg Smallwood. Christopher Chance, a.k.a. the Human Target, or Target, will be dead in a few days, but nothing can stop him from solving his own murder. His investigation into the JLI intensifies, and he sets his sights on the Martian Manhunter. But what piece does John Johns add to the puzzle? I read this book.
Nice.
And I was confused by this book.
Yeah.
But I was also delighted by this book. This book is the Human Target is great. This is the first time in this series where I read most of the book going, what is happening? Because Tom King does this bit of storytelling in every one of his series, I think, at one point or another. It gets a little bit jumpy, a little confusing, but generally by the end, all becomes clear. What did you think, Brian?
I liked it. So I realized I was one issue behind, so I read issue 4 and issue 5. Issue 4 is the more traditional for this story, Human Target story, and I liked it better.
Is that the one with that booster?
No, Ted Cord.
Cord. He
Yeah.
gets Cord
Right,
drunk.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Ted Cord, and he doesn't shut up the entire issue.
Yeah. And it was great. And it's that kind of like timeless mid-20th century noir but pastel story, just like the rest of it has been, and it was great. This one, I mean, the art is still just the same. It's phenomenal. This one is a bit disjointed. Midway through, I started thinking, like, we're in somebody's mind. That's cool. It was the least enjoyable issue so far. It just didn't have that kind of flow like the other ones did. Also, he gets a little bit of Tom Kingery going on here that So he's got Martian Manhunter has some issues. Like Tom King loves to foist upon these characters. And he's crying in bed with Fire, and Fire isn't into it. And
I mean, that's not darkening a character. He's mourning his family when he. I know, but that's what you usually mean when you. Tom Kingery. Yeah.
It seems like he's. I mean, I didn't think was he mourning his family in this case. He just seemed like. Yeah. Oh, he's a sad man crying after sex.
I mean, no, he's. I'm sorry, but my read of it was that he is in a relationship or having some sort of an affair in the sense of they are consensual adults that are having sex.
Sure. Yeah.
But afterwards, every time he still mourns his dead family.
Yeah.
Because how can I allow myself to be happy when this is always like my motivation is that, right? That's how I read it.
Yeah, the way that Fire responds, but cut the crying out afterwards.
Yeah, because she's an asshole. Like Fire's
Right.
an asshole.
But
John's not.
no. And the way that he's drawn in this panel looks like that stereotype of the pathetic man who, is
I could see that.
doing that. Yeah.
I guess my impression of John is that he's wildly empathic and just very emotional. And the more emotional that he is, the less likely he's able to keep his form. So he kind of turned much more Martian when he was crying. To me, that's how I read it.
That could be. And also Fire, I don't remember her ever really being a jerk or saying something so insensitive as this. Remember, you're a goddamn manhunter. Now, maybe she's pumping him up, but I don't know. It's a charitable read. And it is interesting that he's with somebody who turns into fire. That's interesting. Not really played up, but maybe it will be lit. But also, he seems kind of like he may have done something wrong to help her. Now, whether or not they have revealed who the ultimate suspect is in issue 5 of this 12-issue limited series is questionable at best. But yeah. So we'll see. There is a hint that it's a member of the JLI, which I would not. It would just confirm his story tropes.
Hey Brian, real quick.
Yeah.
I have a question about the JLI.
Go for
How
it.
did you feel about who was the leader of the JLI? The bank
Max
roller?
Lord.
Max Lord. How did you feel about Max Lord going bad?
I was cool with it at the time.
Infinite Crisis.
I was cool with it at the time. I never cared too much for the JLI because when the JLI were coming out, I was like, what the hell is this? A comedy Justice League? Where's the Justice League? Then years passed and I was like, oh, the nostalgia of the older days. These people are pretty cool. And my taste changed. My, desire or allowance for, in my mind, there to be more than one interpretation or what have you. So yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. Max Lord was also he was never a villain, but he was like a corporate-y slimeball all along, At least that was my understanding. And, Wonder Woman killing him and all that stuff, I didn't have as much of a problem with it. I don't always inherently have a problem with them doing that kind of thing with a character. It bothers me more and more with Tom King every time he does it because that's what he does, So it's like, with trepidation, do I open up a book that Tom King wrote that stars one of the DC characters,
Right.
Yeah. I mean, he's done it twice.
Well, there was Strange Adventures.
Once.
Wally.
Vision.
Twice.
Vision.
Vision.
Vision
didn't do it. Like, if anything, it reestablished like the hopefulness of him.
Oh yeah,
and same with
the character
Mr. Miracle
that gets turned.
Yeah,
I didn't finish Mr. Miracle, but I did like what I read in the beginning of it. Yeah.
I loved this issue. Actually, I thought it was I thought the confusion was riveting. Because it was about less than a quarter in when I realized like they're inside memories because they keep changing perspectives inside memories, and then memories keep changing. Irma from Titan, I'm like, Legion, cool, but it's not her. But is it her?
I had no idea who that was.
I think it's just she is from Titan. I don't think she's
I know,
Imra.
but Imra and Irma are really similar, and I'm like, but then we're also inside memories, so And then who's this bald guy that is controlling Irma and that she gets Christopher to kill? I'm like, this is a real memory, but which parts are changed? Like, this was all super fascinating. And then in regards to Fire and Martian Manhunter, I thought it was awesome. Like, these people, and in a story like this, I consider them people, not characters. These people are with each other, like coworkers are with each other more than family members, right? Ill-advised decisions are made based off of familiarity. I saw this as a mean cheerleader having fun with seeing if they could, like, get at somebody else or get at somebody that they consider altruistic or pure or earnest. Because my understanding of Fire and Ice was that Fire is kind of like Guy Gardner. She's well-intentioned, but an asshole. It's just like she's the opposite end of Ice, right? I never really read them, but I always thought the characterization that she's like a kind of a, a couple notches away from being just a mean girl.
I think she like lives large and, is like very flamboyant, but
like the idea of her being like, let me see if I can seduce the Martian Manhunter. I think that's completely plausible. And then I kind of continuing.
I love him and her, just the idea of this man who lost his family and his entire race and has survivor's guilt and a very bad relationship with fire, the element, having this sort of relationship with a woman who can control fire, I think is very, very neat. I think it's a very cool idea.
And the juxtaposition of this with Christopher's origin story, essentially, I was like, this is so rad. And I knew that, you're more than halfway through the book. I know that we're inside each other, like we're merging memories. Somebody's inside somebody's head. And I really did think for most of it that it's John that is interrogating Christopher. But then at the very end, you realize it's Christopher that's interrogating John by letting him in. And I thought that was just so slick. It was just really slick.
Yeah.
Is it as breezy or as popcorn fun as issues 1 through 4? No, but I think it's possibly my favorite issue because it was stuff that didn't talk down to me, and it made me do a little extra work, and the extra work felt worth it. So I almost like it a little bit more.
I'm still confused about what's happening.
In what sense?
While he was looking, I got his dirty little secret, the one that scared him. His affair with Martian Manhunter. His affair with Fire, her ask for money, him getting the money from Ted. Fire knew that Luther had killed her best friend. Who was her best friend?
Ice. I think Luther killed Ice and then she came back, I think was...
Yeah, that's prior continuity stuff.
Yeah.
Oh.
So he's piecing connections together. This may not be how it actually plays out, but as far as the character knows, all of these things occurred, and it keeps rolling back to Fire having the most motivation, and then getting
an opportunity.
Yeah, getting John to do this, who did this, for Booster, who did this for Cord, who got Booster the money to do it keeps trickling back to Fire.
Yeah. And the thing with it all happening while he's passing the soul, certainly not the first time I've seen that, but it was well done.
Yeah.
That was cool. That was pretty cool. Yeah, I hope he's not doing like these are what people act like in the real world, right? Everybody I've ever met acts like this in the real world. That means everyone acts like this kind of thing. And I don't know who Tom King has met in the real world, but we'll see. But again, like, we don't know. Maybe it would actually be pretty implausible if Fire is the one who is responsible, unless there's like a lot more twists and turns after this,
If it is indicative of every other thing that he's written, even the ones that we noted that have this trope, it is not as simple as just Fire.
Yeah. No. Well, I guess my little diatribe there also included like, this is how Jean would react, and this is, she would manipulate him to do this and that, but aren't there just some people that are good and wouldn't do something like that? We'll see. We'll see if he thinks so. But yeah.
Mars says, I like this issue. It was a bit confusing here and there, but I liked it. Dan says, I picked up the JLI Omnibus at my local comic shop this weekend just because of Human Target. That's awesome. It does make me want to go back and read JLI. I didn't realize there was a whole omnibus of it.
There's a lot of JLI.
2 of them.
Yeah. And, Giffen wanted to have the Big 7 there, and he originally did. And then DC kept saying, like, no, you can't use Superman. Wonder Woman's not around you. Like all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And it slowly became none of them except Batman. And maybe, and Martian Manhunter, I guess, was around from the beginning. Of
So some news broke today about this series. They are taking a break. Issue 6 ends in a cliffhanger, and it's going to go on hiatus until September to have the art catch up. But hang on, there's more. 4 months. Well, 5 months.
6 months?
March. Issue 6 comes out in March this month, and then nothing till September.
April,
so that's
there's an amount of months.
September.
Oh, so he can get 6 issues in the can.
That's great.
But they are going to release in late August a hardcover of the first 6 issues to get people caught up for issue 7.
And
Good,
also,
it's
it's
great.
not the case of like Batman Catwoman, which has awesome art and then has Liam Sharp for a little bit and then goes back to the like. I would much rather this in longevity will be in trades as a complete story.
Yeah, man.
We don't need a fill-in artist for something that's this well done.
6 issues, take a break. Season 2, I'm down. I don't care.
Yep.
That's fine.
Like, I just want to see more of this art. It doesn't matter if it takes a little bit longer.
Exactly. I've been saying that. Yeah, this entire time. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it took 2.5 years for all 12 issues of Doomsday Clock to come out.
Right.
And
Worth it.
It's a nice little
12 consecutive issues of Yeah.
And that's done, and that time in its release will never happen again. It's done.
Right.
Every other time that anybody reads it or it's published, it will be one solid look, one artist, all that stuff.
I will always support taking a break in order to have the same artist throughout the book.
Yeah.
Always.
So that also gives Brian, that gives you a 6-month break from having to have the Tom King debate about.
That's true. But I've been loving Human Target. I mean, it's been great. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, but you still have trepidation that he's going to pull a Tom King on you.
It won't be satisfied until issue 12 is out, and we'll see. Even Supergirl, which I only have 1 issue left, and I'm like, this has been phenomenal. Let's see what happens.
Actually, I need you to finish it because I would like to discuss the last panel.
Yeah.
It is
okay.
The last issue is fantastic, but the last 2 panels, I'm like, what?
Okay.
Yeah.
I have all the issues. I just have to read them.
Let's make it a book club.
Yeah.
When that comes out, let's make it a book club, and we'll actually do a full review of it because it's very interesting read.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We're going to discuss Catwoman, but we are stopping because we have to stop at 10:30.
Wait, can I make a quick observation about this Catwoman? Where so at one point she talks about how she's like somebody that one of the stripper girls that helped her in the previous issue has been killed, right? And out of like vengeance for her and what the girl did to help her out. And she says something like, I've told, where is it? Like girl power goes so far, but as I've been telling Bruce for years, girl power doesn't get you everything. Can you imagine that conversation?
Girl power doesn't mean shit if you don't have real power.
Right. How did that conversation play out? She's like, Bruce, girl power doesn't mean shit if you don't have real power. And he's like, I think it does, Selena. I think girl power does matter. This has been going on for years, this conversation.
A debate?
Yeah. It's like, you don't put enough stock in girl power.
I like to think it's more along the lines of like Bruce in costume saying like something off the cuff like, sisters doing it for themselves.
Yeah.
And then she just like freaks out like, girl power doesn't mean shit unless you have real power. Shut the fuck up, Bruce.
I don't want to keep having this talk.
And then he just like looks down into his coffee. Like, full cowl.
I'm vengeance,
Yeah, of course. He said, he has coffee, full cowl.
Well, I mean, it's after a long night. He didn't take it off yet.
All right. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us. You can go to patreon.com/JohnnyDestructo. If you want books or comics or pins or stickers or shirts, you can hit me up and I will mail them to you. And we will see you here next Monday night at 9 p.m. Thank you so much. It is so much fun hanging out with you guys. You're the best. And we will see you next week. Oh, Dan H., let us know how that Justice League International Omnibus is. That's very tempting. I may have to look into that. All right. We will talk at you later. Bye.